Sejam bem-vindos a mais um episódio do Pod Viagem, o melhor podcast de viagens do Brasil. Nesse momento aqui em Curitiba, estou com o meu host Alexandre Ferreri
Tamo junto.
e o nosso convidado Pablo Cantin. Ele que é chileno e além de falar espanhol também fala inglês. Então a gente vai apresentar o podcast em inglês e depois vai vir com as legendas aqui embaixo para que seja mais fácil para vocês acompanharem. So, welcome to Pod Viagem, the best travel podcast in Brazil. Welcome, Pablo, for in Pod Viagem.
Obrigado, meu amigo. Obrigado pelo convite. Alex, também.
So, first question for our guest.
First question. The reason that we invited you here is due to the fact that we know that you know many countries around the world. Tell us, how many countries do you know?
78.
78 countries.
Yeah, but we need to say it's not like that. We just go and stay like 2 or 3 days in a country in a normal vacation and come back to Brazil. He decided when he traveled, he just stayed more than 1 week, usually 1 month or more than 1 month in a country. So let me know, how do you travel? How is your way of life?
Basically, travel for me is like it's a essential part of my life because I'm very much committed to my job, which is financial consulting. And honestly, the best way to learn about, for me, in just my opinion, the best way to learn about the world and finance and politics and all those related topics is to be on site. Not just because of what you see, but the people you manage to meet. It's funny that even like in random conversations in bars, in hotels, and even in the street, you get contacts that sometimes after many years, they become so much valuable for you in terms of the experience they have, the contacts they help you get. So that's essentially like what provide me like not just the notion of traveling and getting into this, but also it became essential part of my business. So it's all related, and that's how I managed to save along in many countries, because networking and also because of my job, my clients demand that kind of knowledge, and for them it's much valuable that I'm on site learning about what I'm talking about, not just reading and retweeting stuff that other people say.
And as a traveler, we know exactly what you mean when you say that travel is a part of your life, because it's a part of our life too. And
Yes.
maybe one day we can have the opportunity to do what he does.
Yeah.
Maybe, yeah.
My second question is, when did you start it?
Well, I was lucky that my parents always travel and took me with them. When I was little, like 9 years old.
9 years old.
I think from 7 years old.
7
So
years
I started
old.
traveling with my parents, visiting relatives abroad. So my parents sort of basically kickstart this thing, and also because of that, they always knew that I liked traveling, and obviously the biggest problem with my lifestyle is being far away from my family. But the thing is that they also travel, so sometimes we meet abroad. But also they know that that I'm really into this, and it's good for my business. It's good for that makes me happy. So they always encourage me to do this. And now that my parents are able to speak in camera, and I taught them all this stuff, then we can like be in touch more often.
You say that you have relatives.
Yeah, no, I have
Outside your
I have
country.
relatives living in the U.S. and
US?
my first trips when I was a kid, I were to the U.S. So yeah, that's how I start traveling. But I start traveling by my own after I finished uni. I worked for a local company for a couple of years, and then I decided to start my own business. and I took a year off before starting. And
Which year was that?
that was 2007.
2007.
Yeah,
So you start in 2007 your own company,
yeah,
your own business,
yeah, exactly.
and then just you got yourself, okay, I'm going to travel abroad and take that experience for how can I feel traveling and knowing more about countries, and how can I say that in English, and how did you felt about it in the beginning? How like you was away from your home, so did you miss your parents, did you miss your friends, so how could you deal with that?
Thing is, I was pretty lucky that this was when I finished college, my studies. It was a time that travel became much easier those years, 2006, 2008. Like there were many visa programs for people to apply. So I mean, I didn't apply for those programs, but many of my friends
Government programs.
programs and also alliances with Australia and Europe.
Okay.
So many of my friends were living abroad by that time. They were living in New Zealand, Australia. So basically, also they encouraged me as they got these programs and they
New Zealand, Australia.
yeah, many of my friends moved to New Zealand and Australia, and then they traveled to Southeast Asia. That's a typical thing that many South Americans do. First, Oceania, working there, and then
Why?
earning some money with the work and holiday.
Yeah.
Because some really basic tasks in Australia, they're very well paid.
Okay.
So they earn enough money to travel around Asia or around like pretty much anywhere. For
Like Thailand,
Exactly.
Vietnam.
Exactly, for a year or so. So a few of my friends did the thing, and they encouraged me to visit them and travel together. So and also at that time, Southeast Asia was so incredibly cheap that even without a very high budget, I could afford living like a really good life. And also I think you guys have talked about Thailand and Southeast Asia
Yes.
before. Those places are just fantastic.
It's not an expensive country.
Exactly. So they're some of the best value countries in the world.
Before we go ahead, let me check with the technical stuff. Tá tudo certo com o som do Pablo, que o microfone dele está um pouco mais longe, tá? Okay. So we were talking about the Asia and the Oceania, Australia, and Thailand, Vietnam. You have been this year in Vietnam, as you told me before. But I would like to know what you when you want to choose. I would like to move to Poland or to Vietnam or somewhere else. How do you decide where you go after Brazil? Because now you're in Brazil, you arrived here 1 month ago.
I will choose this country due to the fact the reason that the food is good, the parties are not so expensive, or I want to,
You're talking about Brazil, or you're talking about Vietnam, or?
No, I'm talking about how do you decide where you go next?
Well,
Or
people always talk about the trifecta. Many people have this concept of basically having the best things from the three sides of the world: the Americas, Europe, Middle East, and Asia Pacific. Basically, some people do it because of the weather, like chasing summer. Other people do it for business opportunities because, of course, every corner of the world gives you different types of opportunities in terms of business and economy. But also, I managed to develop an interesting network of people and very good friends around the world. So basically, when I make the choice of where I'm going next, basically it's because of the people who's gonna be there. I'm fortunate also that many of my friends, they travel a lot, so sometimes we make plans together. And once you've been to a place for quite a few times, then you know how you do it there, and basically you feel like a local. And then I'm encouraged to, okay, I'll stay 3 months there because I feel like at home. It's like at the other side of the world, but I already know the place. I know I have connections there, and I know how everything works, so I can basically feel at home. And that's what I've been doing lately. When I was younger, I like to move more often, but now I try to stay at least a couple of months in every destination I visit.
And when we stay a couple of months in a specific country, you are, in my opinion, you feel more the culture. You can live more.
Exactly.
That specifically a type of culture you have on that country. So my next question is, which country did you spend more time? Which country you just arrived and you said, "Oh my God, I'm going to stay here like 1 year"? You know,
I think the answer is Thailand.
Thailand.
Yeah, I spent
Why?
so much time there, and if I lied about it, many people will laugh at me because they know that I will be lying.
And an interesting thing that the first time that I met Pablo, it was in Thailand.
In Thailand.
In Kopangan,
Which year?
the full moon party,
Full moon party. Yes.
2022.
Yeah.
Full moon party on March.
No, it was for New Year's actually.
New Year, yeah.
New Year's 2023.
There are a lot of full moon parties during the year, but
nice.
we met in the biggest one because it was New Year, yeah. New Year party.
Yeah, the reason for that is that my country Chile, almost everything that we export goes to China. So for me as an economist and as I do financial research, China was like a big part of my life, like the last decade. So I traveled to China often for work. But
Where about in China?
Shanghai, Beijing, like the big cities. But I think I've been to
You should talk with him
most of the big
Yes,
cities
I have
of
to
China.
talk to you later.
And Thailand is just the perfect complement for China because it's like the exact opposite. It's like a much more touristic place, and also the weather is totally different. And also it was like my excuse to visit Thailand also.
So let's imagine that a young guy is watching us now, and if someone asks you, what is the best area in the world? If a young guy, 20 years old, wants to travel abroad, what do you recommend him?
But you mean staying and
To
like
stay and
like
stay
digital
and
nomad?
feeling-
No, to have a 1 month vacation there.
Depends. If you have a low budget, I think Vietnam is a fantastic opportunity nowadays.
Vietnam.
It's one of the few places in the world that after the pandemic remain very, very cheap. And also the quality is improving a lot, like the hotels, highways, and
Interesting.
it still lags behind the big countries in Asia like Japan and China in many aspects, but it's a really good cost benefit opportunity.
And another hotspot in the world that you can say.
I think Eastern Europe provides a lot of opportunities.
Eastern Europe opportunities.
Also-
Yeah, Eastern Europe is always a good opportunity to travel. Yeah.
Also, basically because they have many countries, they of course they need fresh resources, and they encourage people from richer countries to move there and spend the money.
Yeah.
So they give you a lot of incentives. Like sometimes not in every country, but in some countries it's easy to open bank accounts. It's easy to access all government service.
Yes.
And
Which countries in Eastern Europe do you recommend the most?
for someone who wants to stay for long,
To have an experience in
Yes.
Eastern Europe.
before
Despite this war, you know.
before
Yeah.
the war, Ukraine was actually one of the hotspots for that because it's by far one of the cheapest countries in Europe.
Yeah.
There were some quite interesting opportunities there, especially for the IT sector. But of course, everything changed now. We all know about that. Nowadays, I would say that Serbia is very interesting.
It's a very nice country. I've been there and I like it very much.
Yeah, it's very interesting, and also
All the Balkans area.
the Balkans area. But I think Belgrade is a city where you can be based for 3 months or even more, and develop like an interesting network. There's also Belgrade has a reputation of the new business hub of Southern Europe.
And also the capital of the Balkans.
Yeah, exactly. It's the biggest city in the
Did you
Balkans.
stay there in the summer?
I've been there a few times, and yeah, I've been there in summer. It's really interesting.
How many times in Serbia?
Free, free, I think. But
Just for the people have the notion how often do you travel?
no, Serbia, I think I've been there 3 or 4 times. But last time I spent 3 months.
3
in
months.
Belgrade.
So we can say that you have been in 78 countries, and in each country you spend more than 1 week.
No. Yeah, I mean, most of them I stayed more than 1 week. Yeah.
In some 3 months or 2 months.
Yeah.
When
Yeah.
you are traveling, you used to travel by plane. You used to travel like by train. You try to tell
Here's
us,
all the
yeah,
means of
yes.
transportation.
So, I know that I can pay for airfare, but I want to travel by bus just to feel the experience. Tell us about.
Actually, I'm just practical for that kind of stuff. I don't mind flying. I don't mind taking buses. Depends on the country because for example in some countries trains are amazing. In other countries trains are a disaster.
Yes.
So it depends where. In for example Western Europe, I think trains are fantastic. Also, it's very good because you arrive in the middle of town. You don't have to waste like 45 minutes going to the airport and. So I think in some depends, and mostly in developed countries I really like trains, but in some countries like Southeast Asia, for example, it's all about flights.
Yes, I really felt the experience, the difference between a train traveling Amsterdam to Berlin, and then I think was 2 years later to travel to Romania to Hungary. Like, well, I spent like 3 hours Amsterdam to Berlin and well, Sigisoara.
But it depends. It depends because sometimes sometimes you just want to ride fast, but in some cases it's also the experience.
Yes.
For example, I remember an epic train ride in India that it took ages and it wasn't exactly pleasant, but it was like a really fun.
Did you took it?
I took it from Rajasthan from Delhi to
Wow.
to what's the name? Jodhpur, I think.
Jaipur.
It's really interesting. It's the way to see to a country with your own eyes. I think I was the only foreigner in the train.
How many days did you spend on India?
I've been there twice.
Twice.
Yeah, and I don't know how it's now, but back then we had like a 1 month visa, so I used it fully. Like I stayed 1 month each time.
1 month
Each time,
in
yeah.
Delhi.
Delhi, Goa, Rajasthan, India. India's how you can call it. There are 3 countries which are considered civilizations in their own.
Yes.
Japan, India, and China. Those countries are like nothing else in the world. For example, Brazil can be quite unique country, unique culture, but it has like a European language, a European religion, and is very similar to other countries in South America. India, Japan, and China are civilizations on their own. So it's like visiting another planet. You can't compare Japan to any other country in Asia. And China and India are so big that they are like a world on their own,
Yes.
So it's not that I recommend India for everyone, but it's definitely an interesting destination.
And I think if you travel to a lot of countries, I think it's a destination that the traveler he needs to go, to feel the difference between
exactly
the huge difference
that's
between
what I
these
mean
countries.
when I say civilization. Is like you feel like it's the closest thing you have to go to a different planet.
Yes.
So I think those are the 3 most interesting countries in the world for me. Not exactly the most pleasant. It's not that I recommend everyone to go there, but everyone who likes traveling should visit those 3 countries at least once.
I would like to ask you, which country did you like the most in the world?
Well,
You're
talking
you're
about
Chile or not?
talking about those 3, I think Japan is the most spectacular place ever.
Yeah, I like it a lot.
And when you're talking about in general about all the world, Thailand,
No, Japan.
Japan.
I'm not an expert in Japan. I only been there twice, but
twice.
Been twice.
but it's fantastic. It's like another dimension. Everything is different. The people are just incredible. The level of like detail of how these guys build everything, how conceive everything, from the cities to the gardens to like
to the garbage that they have to separate on each day,
It's just incredible. It blows Japan is a country that blows your mind.
And which country did you like least?
Sorry?
Which country do you like least?
Some people will hate me now.
Okay.
Let's know.
Countries that I didn't like. Well, you have to put everything in perspective, like cost, benefit.
Of course.
Okay.
In Asia, it's difficult to hate any country because most countries are so cheap that even if even if you're not having the best time, and even if you don't feel it's the place for you, they are like budget friendly, so you can go to the best restaurants and you can stay in a fine hotel without spending much, you know. The countries that I don't even bother visiting nowadays is mostly Western Europe, countries like Ireland, for example. I have some friends from Ireland, but I think it's so expensive, and also the weather is so bad, and also it's very also it's quite touristic. For example, Dublin is very well known because of the beer and the pubs, and so it gets a lot of tourists, and even like a small room in a hotel will set you back $200 per night or something like that.
In all our episodes of the podcast, we say the same. The people need to go for non-traditional countries and not
Totally.
from. They usually they travel only to Ireland or to England or to Germany. These traditional countries.
Or Spain
And-
or
and-
Italy.
And I can say you are specialized in non-traditional countries, in countries that nobody
Yeah.
usually travel. So you told me about Kazakhstan when we are arriving here.
Yeah.
So let me know about
Yeah,
Kazakhstan.
Kazakhstan is it's a really interesting country actually. It was a big surprise for me.
You have been twice or once?
Just once.
Just
Just
once.
once. I visited last year for the first time
For how long you stayed?
for 1 month.
1 month in
1
Kazakhstan.
month.
1 month. There's
Just in capital?
I think Brazil also has the same visa scheme. Is you have to leave the country after 30 days. You can come back, but
Yeah.
you can stay 30 days maximum. Kazakhstan is fantastic and is much more developed than what most people think, because they have a huge energy sector and they have lots of mineral resources. So the country is growing rich fast. So, for example, Astana, the capital, you would go crazy with the amount of crazy buildings you see there. There's like very well-known architects from all over the world, Japanese, European, like building stuff there. So it's fantastic. It's really, really mind-blowing. And the nature they have there is like canyons and rivers, and it's really, really amazing place.
And the most bustling city is Almaty.
Almaty is the biggest city in Kazakhstan, but also I found the capital quite interesting, Astana.
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 Astana. You say that mind blowing. Mind blowing for me. It's something that we really. How can I say that? Our memories when we are traveling, we just think about this mind blowing. We have such a good experience, but sometimes such bad experience. So I want to ask you, which was a mind blowing, a bad experience that you want to tell us about a travel that you did, a specifically country that you just was embarrassed, you just felt like badly. So oh my goodness, that you know what I mean. No, you just it's a remarkable bad situation that you have lived outside the country.
That's quite a tough question.
When you travel all the world, man, it's difficult to remember.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
Thing is, I'm not exactly the definition of an adventure guy. I mean, I like going, for example, going trekking and going fishing and stuff like that. But I usually take a lot of care. I do a lot of research before going to any country, and I always take good care of like knowing which are the good areas in town, which are the bad areas. I also I try to meet local people so they can guide me.
Okay.
So fortunately, I've never been in such a horrible situation, like with my life in danger.
Never a life risk situation.
Wow.
Yeah.
7, 8 countries, never felt like in danger.
Yeah, maybe for example, some typical thing at night, with talking to the wrong person at the wrong time, and getting threatened by the big guys from there. But I think that I don't want to even mention the country because that could happen absolutely everywhere. I think it would be unfair if I mention in that country this thing happens, because that could happen in my country also, it could happen in Brazil, it could happen everywhere. So I mean the bad experience I had is also, of course, I take my fair share of responsibility. I mean, late at night, you don't always take the best decisions. So most of those episodes had been related to that, and it would be unfair to say that in one certain country The thing is, mostly you have to take care of yourself. And the good thing is now, anywhere you go, you can make proper research and find valuable information, where to go, where not to go, avoid this bar, go to this other place instead. And also there are so many platforms where you can meet local people, about couchsurfing. And
Yes.
when I was younger, I used couchsurfing a lot, and that's amazing because you always have someone who's willing to show you the city. And when you are surrounded by local people, you have nothing to fear. So,
Yes.
so I always did that when I was. Now I don't do it much because I'm coming back to those places. But when I didn't know a country at all, one of the finest ways to be to feel safe and to go to the best places was to be surrounded by locals through these apps.
I have two questions before we finish the episode. But the first one, just to the people who were watching us now, in 2023, which was the country that you have been? Just to the people, imagine how digital nomad you are.
Which countries I visited in
Yeah, in
2023?
2023,
Yes.
since January to December.
Well, I met you in Thailand for New Year's.
Exactly, in Thailand.
After that, I moved to Vietnam. I stayed there for a couple months.
Vietnam, okay.
Then I visited my family. I mean, my parents were traveling, and I had not seen them for a while. So we met in the Emirates,
In the
in
Emirates.
Dubai. We traveled together to Oman, which is also a very interesting country.
Yeah, I told you about.
It's
Remember?
beautiful. I mean, it's not a country where I would live, but it's definitely interesting to visit. We just spent a few days there.
Muscat.
Muscat. Then I traveled to Central Asia. I visited Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, and also Uzbekistan, which is fantastic.
1 month each.
No, Uzbekistan just for a few days. But let me tell you that Uzbekistan is one of the new pearls of the world. It's a country that not many people know about, but it should be on everyone's bucket list.
Capital, Tashkent.
Capital Tashkent, but Tashkent is like the hub where you arrive. It's a big city and it's interesting because it's developing quite a lot. But the interesting thing about Uzbekistan is the Silk Road.
Oh, yeah.
The Silk
Yes.
Road
Famous
is
Silk Road.
the Silk Road is just incredible, and there are so many beautiful cities and towns, like Samarkand, for example, which is one of the most beautiful places I ever seen. And historically, it has like so much meaning that it's a total must. And also, you asked me about good value places. I think that's gonna be Uzbekistan is becoming like a huge place for digital nomads now.
Excellent.
Because it's super cheap. And the quality of services you get there is fantastic.
Wow.
But is it not a party destination, right?
Sorry?
Is it not a party destination?
Party?
Yeah.
Party
No,
destination.
party, not at all.
Not at all, yeah.
Not at all. But, I mean, it's developing fast. So Tashkent, I think Tashkent within 5 years or so, it would be like the new Almaty.
Is developing fast
Almaty-
because the huge industry of energy. Or
Yeah,
no?
but because of a lot of reasons. Also, it's quite a big country. It has almost 40 million population. So it's becoming like quite an interesting place.
You were telling about Almaty?
Yeah, the thing, Almaty is like the capital of Central Asia.
Yeah.
And also it's like it's very popular with tourists because it has a lot of nightlife parties and also friendly locals that are willing to
You
make.
convinced me to go there this year.
Yeah.
I'm totally convinced about it.
Yeah, you should visit Almaty. And
And after that,
Tashkent is becoming the new Almaty. So
Yeah.
basically,
Yes.
to say. And after that, I came back to Europe for the summer. I went to Lake Balaton in Hungary, which is one of my favorite summer spots.
wow.
Which one?
Lake Balaton.
Lake Balaton.
It's very close.
Inside Hungary.
It's very close to Budapest. It's just 2 hours by
Is
train.
there a famous park in this lake, right?
Yeah, I think so. During the summer.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was a beautiful place. I like it. I go there. I've been there quite a few times. And after that, I visited Poland, where I have a few friends.
Yeah, that's
Slovakia, yeah.
Poland.
And then I came back to South America, Colombia, and then back to Chile.
Let me see if we understand.
Vietnam,
Thailand,
Thailand, Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan,
Kyrgyzstan,
Emirates, Poland,
Oman.
Hungary,
Hungary,
Oman.
Oman,
Oman,
Colombia,
Colombia, Chile, or Brazil.
Yeah, I end up the year
Chile,
back
Brazil,
home.
10,
Brazil.
10 countries.
No, Brazil I just arrived in January. Like 24.
Okay, 24.
If we divide like 1 month in each country, it's crazy, man. It's
10,
crazy.
12 countries.
Yeah, but you know,
Well,
like
what are-
Respect the history.
Yeah, I respect this history.
there are so many things to do in all of these places. So many business opportunities for one who's interested. And even if you don't care about business, if you don't care about networking, I mean, they're really good options in terms of cost benefit. They're really interesting places, and yeah, and the more you travel to these places, the more you want to come back, and the more you want to discover something new.
Yeah, one last message. We are just finishing this podcast. One last message to people who watch us to tell them about why to travel, why traveling, why they should travel.
I don't think there's like a one reason, one
Okay.
particular reason, and I don't think anyone can give you like the proper exact recommendation because we're all different. We all like different things, and we all have different possibilities because of our job. So there's no one straight solution for that. It's not like one size fits all.
Yeah.
But I think it's something very personal. In my case, what I can say is that just don't be afraid. That's it. That's the only thing I can say. Don't be afraid. And the good thing, in my case, I think travel gives you a different perspective on things, and makes you discover things about yourself
Cool.
that you didn't know before, because you are faced with different kinds of people, different situations, and also people don't put labels on you. You understand?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, like for example, this is especially true in South America. South America, we have a lot of social difference. Like for example, we have a big difference among social classes,
Yeah, for sure, yeah.
depending on the income you have. So basically, for example, if you are middle class in Chile or in Brazil, you'll have that label on you, and you may feel that you're not part of something, and that people will always think that you are this kind of person. The moment you cross borders, you realize that's all bullshit.
It's all bullshit.
It's all bullshit. Like people from other countries don't actually care if you're middle class or high class. They only care about who are you, how interesting you are as a person, how friendly you are, and how much you give them in terms of like, your energy and your knowledge and whatever. They couldn't care less about like in which neighborhood you were brought, you grew up, what's your job back home. It's all about what you give them like that second.
Just great moments, great experience.
Exactly. So basically, I think that's very important for many people, especially now that it's cheaper to travel. I think that many people who want to experience like a new things and discover like a new side of themselves, it's a perfect way. But I mean, I'm talking about something very general. Of course, this may not apply for a lot of people, and that's okay. And that's okay. Some people will never ever travel, and also that's okay. Also, for me, it's not that I've never considered myself like a superior in any way because I travel to more countries.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that there's a lot of people that I know and I respect that they don't travel at all, and they live fantastic lives.
And that's fine.
And that's totally fine, So it's not that you have to travel. It's something that you have to do if you wanna change
Yeah.
in your life, and if you want to experience new things, and also mingle with different kinds of people. That's perfect. But it's not that you have to do it. It's something that has to come from your soul. Yeah.
Pablo, we have much more to talk about trips and your lifestyle, but our time is over.
Sadly.
So,
Really
don't
sadly.
be afraid to travel, and don't stay all your life in the
Trust me, I
same
won't.
country. You need to taste what the world has to offer. So, thank you very much for coming. It was a pleasure to have you here.
Meu prazer.
And, okay, man. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
This was another episode of Pod Viagem, the best travel podcast in Brazil. Leave your like, share with your friends, stay with us, stay connected. See you. Bye.